Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the AggieCentral podcast. Thank you for joining me for part one with special guest Drewtamu. I apologize in advance for the low mic. Here's part two.
So, over under 3.5 picks by the secondary.
Over. Over. This is such a point of emphasis. They probably dropped 3.5 picks last year, just ones that they had in their hands and dropped. I can think of two from Marcus Ratcliffe off the top of my head. Smashing 3.5. Like, I don't know. Like, what's a good number of picks for a year? Give me like a basis here. Like, what would a above average secondary get in a year where they're getting interceptions?
Man, I would have to try and look that up. I don't know. It's such a, what did we have last year? I think three. It was one by the secondary and two by linebackers, I think.
Yeah,
Something
something
like
like that.
that. So I don't know. I think really top end defenses are maybe pulling in 9 or 10, maybe.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. And I that's a big leap from being bad at that aspect to a next year. But I could see them flirting with 9. I could see them flirting with 7. I think they're going to be getting some picks this year. I think it is with this coaching staff, and I think what they've shown in their development and what they can do with their players, I believe they will get what they focus on out of this team. Now, I don't know, it's a big leap, right? Like, it was a very big weakness last year, not reeling these balls in, not able to ball hawk and find these balls. But I would say 3.5. I'm hammering the over there. In fact, I would get the alt line at 5.5 and take the over.
Got it. I like it. And I think it's an underrated category in the sense of it's how, which everybody talks about how much it affects games to get a turnover, right? And just how at a detriment we've been for quite some time, kind of like the quarterback injuries. Having something like this and the ability to change a game whenever, you just threw a pick and you just gave up. What if we get two more turnovers against Miami?
Yeah.
Where are we at? What if one of those is inside the 20? It just opens up a whole realm of new possibility for this team, I feel like. And,
Mm-hmm.
I think what we started with, about 34 points per game this last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of looking at what Miami had, excuse me, not Miami. I looked at Miami a lot. I don't know if after we played Miami, I continued covering Miami.
They got a good fan base on YouTube. Like, if you talk Miami, they show up, and I've had some good times with Miami. If you lead into that, that's smart, because they got some good people out there.
Well, yeah, it might have been a little smart. I mean, I had a lot of fun with it. I wanted to cover it just because I thought they had a really good team, and I really wanted to see what that deep run playoff type of team looked like, and cover
Mm-hmm.
them at the depth of like what I would have done A&M, and
Yeah.
to watch Bain and Mesidor and some other things. But at the same time, whereas I had some really good episodes doing that, and their fan base is amazing. As a matter of fact, they were very
Yeah.
interactive and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Um, Man, I think it just crushed my algorithm.
Oh, you're like, they're showing you to Miami people, and you're back talking A&M.
Yeah, maybe so. I'm not sure, but either way, it was a lot of good fun, and kind of have that perspective now as something to kind of relate to.
It's
So
a good team to follow. Absolutely.
yeah, but yeah, if we had had two more interceptions in that game,
Well, yeah, and I think I probably, as like a fan, fall into the trap of thinking play sound defense and just let the interceptions come. But I think there's probably some merit to hunting them a little bit more and being a little bit more aggressive in that department. And obviously, you're aggressive chasing the ball. The mistakes are amplified. If you make the mistake, you miss the ball, you're selling out for, there's a chance you don't make the tackle, whatever. But just the compounding effect of an interception, like the turnover, switching the ball, flipping the field, usually, I mean, it's usually better than a punt. You can stop scoring if it's in the red zone, and you're messing with the psyche of the quarterback and that offensive flow. So it is such a dynamic impact on a game that it makes sense to kind of hunt them more, at least get to a baseline where you're not underperforming in that metric on a year. So, yeah, see, for me, it's hard to rely on turnovers, like use the word rely on a turnover.
right.
But if you can shift the odds in your favor, I could see that making you a better defense, right? Like that just makes you a better defense, I think.
Yeah, because I was also looking at Indiana. I was like, okay, we're at 34 points per game. what would it take? I mean, it is just one more touchdown per game to get to Indiana's level of like 41 points per game, but picks could really swing that, or
Mm-hmm.
even cut the difference that we have there. And to think about those additional points and how it could play out in securing 9 wins, not necessarily going for the 11-1 type of regular season again, but just to be able to do at least the 9-3, I think would be pretty big. So
Yeah, I mean, I would be curious what an interception is valued at. Like, how many points does a typical interception average? I would imagine, especially when you're talking about net points, like between both teams, like opportunity cost and the score you could potentially get off of a pick. I would imagine it's significant. I would imagine getting more increases your chances of scoring more points and winning games. And such an emphasis. We heard Hemphill talk about it yesterday, that they've just done catching drills as a secondary the entire offseason. I would be shocked if it doesn't improve in some significant metric, in some significant portion. I think it does.
right, yeah, and yeah, bringing him back, I think that's also, we've been talking a lot about Wiggins. Hemphill maybe hasn't got as much chatter when it comes to the benefit him coming in and working in a scheme that these safeties know, these cornerbacks know. I think is also going to be just where this group is at this moment, and having to come in and like learn a new system, learn a new guy when he's already there, and the continuity that's provided through all this stuff, I think is again, if we can come up with these plays in some of the bigger games too, and not just against some of the Missouri States and the Citadel, stuff like that, then flipping those fields, getting those big time plays, especially on away games. We haven't won in Norman in a long time. I don't know if you've seen the stats on that, but it's like 1 out of the last 14 or 15 trips in Norman.
Yeah. That game scares the bejesus out of me. It does.
Mm-hmm.
That's a daunting game in November, the week before Texas.
Absolutely. So,
but I like what you say about that continuity on defense, because we talked about it on offense and the benefits of Wiggins with Marcel and a guy like Bussey and this receiver group, because I think unlike maybe the offense where I use Bama as the example, it was really the more so the Bama offense, and a coordinator would come in and work off of that. I think it was somewhat established. I think with the defense, it's the Elko defense, and Hemphill's going to come in and give his twist to it, whatever that might be. I don't know exactly what that's going to be for Hemphill, but continuity in the coaching department, still Elko's, at least aggressive show blitz style, the way he shows those creepers, the way he can kind of leverage the eyes of the offensive line, that's going to be there. But having the continuity in the secondary, the trust in the secondary, continuity with coaches, head coach, DC, being around these guys last year, I think that's big time for this team. I think there's going to be so much confidence in this secondary to stick to their assignments, whether that's their zone depth or just being where they're supposed to be, winning some man defense and not even blitzing, but doing what they do, which is show 6, show 7, bring the 4. Like, you're going to be able to afford your half step, I think, better this year than you have even last year, where it was all right. It was pretty good in the pass department, worse in the run, obviously. I think the pass defense here is going to be some of the best we've ever seen at A&M. That's like a bold take, right? But I think that's what we're looking at with this defense. I think that's like one of the main strengths of this team.
Yeah. And you said it earlier when we were talking about the linebackers. And having Stanford back is another low-key thing, right, that doesn't get talked about a whole lot, but it was the same as said. I think you mentioned it either maybe for them or the secondary. But now thinking about his continuity coming back in from a communication standpoint and a gelling standpoint, I felt a lot last year. They didn't quite, especially between the defensive line and linebackers, just didn't have a really good feel for when the defensive lineman was going to cross face and that they needed to be in the opposite hole.
Think about the Texas game. That run the left side is exactly the one that comes to mind first. And Will Lee got the blame for that, but he's a great player, but Tyler O cross face when he wasn't supposed to. And that was his gap. And the running back ended up right there. And, I think maybe Sark saw that because they were going to overload the field side with a bunch of players. Like Sark likes his imbalanced stuff. and just run with fewer numbers, even if it was match numbers, to the short side of the field and rely on us to make that mistake with all that space there. And we were punished for that. So I totally agree with you. This was something I saw too.
Yeah. So I think it's not going to be obvious. I don't really know ball. I'm not going to sit here and say like I know all these X's and O's.
Yeah, I just the few things I fix it on, I try to get an understanding of, but I'm no expert. I know surface level stuff, but I think what you're saying is exactly what I saw. I mean, I think that in addition to that, we maybe had a little bit of a false step at the linebackers too often. I think in the Notre Dame game, we would get caught maybe being a little bit too aggressive at the mesh point and kind of stepping into that line of scrimmage a little bit too much, and not able to recover if someone got to this gap that you're responsible for. And I think the point you're making, maybe some continuity can help with that. Getting Sanford back as a leader can help with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With him coming in, knowing who he's got back there in the back five, with the combination of Sanford being there, a veteran guy like Coney as well, and having a revamped but very capable, say, defensive line. And another low-key factor I feel like it's going to maybe come from the continuity of Tempo coming over is the trust that hopefully can transfer over into the secondary, where especially in that Texas game, I don't feel like we were showing as much trust in the secondary that we needed to be. We seemed like we were dropping, six, and I mean, leaving York in the middle to cover their running back and Arch at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, don't we have this covered in the back? Do we not? I mean, Dez is who Dez is. We know who Will Lee is too.
Yeah.
And I just feel like sometimes the trust wasn't there, and I think with the him staying on, him coming over, him knowing who he's got, I'm hoping to see more trust there from those guys. That way we can leverage the front seven more.
I completely agree. Yeah, thinking about the Texas game is the perfect example for all of this, because in that exact situation where York's not really spying, but he has some sort of shallow zone right there in the middle, and it's like check down or Arch Manning sprinting past me, and it was like typically Arch would just get a first down. So to your point, maybe you're able to keep a body a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, and you trust these guys out here. I thought the corners played pretty well in the game. I thought maybe the safeties had a little bit of a struggle that game, and maybe Sark had something to do with that. But just getting everybody back out there, like getting both safeties back, I think those two in particular could really have used that last offseason, because I think they were in a good spot to really springboard this year with all the continuity, all these pieces we're talking about right here. I think that confidence is going to be there, man, and that's part of what has me so excited is just the continuity, the bodies, and then freaking Anto Saka, man, the guys you're going to be able to actually get after it with that behind them. I think it could be great. But let me ask you, talk about this defense. I'm feeling really good. Do you have any holdups with this defense? Like the run game last year kind of got us at times.
So, yeah, I definitely do. There were some times at which you could see the flashes from Sanford, but just like him and or York, we're not in the right gap. We're not in great position to be able to make these plays, to make these tackles, and you've got the defensive line, and between them and the linebackers, just not having a good awareness, and I guess you'd call it communication or gel about knowing where they were going to be, which led to a lot of these breaks and these runs. Just thinking about Fletcher again, I have nightmares. That guy, I mean, he is a really great running back, but we did ourselves no real favors, in that game. And then for I think replacing Regis is a big deal.
Yeah, super steady player.
Yeah, and if we can do something there, that's probably my bigger reservation. But I'm hoping that the trust in the secondary can help us divert resources to play the run at a little bit stiffer tick, and let those safeties, let those cornerbacks work on the backside. Maybe be a little more dynamic with blitzes. I mean, I know we kind of like to do, create chaos with four, but I would like to see a few more blitzes. And
Sure.
I don't know if I've got concerns. I feel good about the defensive line, even though like it feels like it's a complete major overhaul. But This might get me into this next piece if you don't mind. I call this section "Rate My Comp."
Okay.
Uh, so how about this one for you? Anto Saka, comp Michael Clemens.
Michael Clem, that's an interesting one. Just a giant edge rusher, play both sides of the line of scrimmage, can get after the quarterback, can just be rigid up. That is an awesome comp.
Hey, if you're
Wow.
not good with that one, maybe Buster Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes. Oh
it
my
gives
gosh.
it gives me major Buster Rhymes. No, but I even think about that
That's
clip
good.
that of Clemens from the Jets when he's on the sideline, he's pointing to the crowd. Just
A little FU about him. Yeah.
yeah,
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 I can see that, man. Just a mean streak right there at defensive end. I mean, I feel like Anto Saka is a guy that made waves just by showing his face on camera today. Like, oh, like a
yep.
little scary, man. I want to be a little scary on my defensive line. That's a really good comp. That's a really good comp right there. I think there's some intimidation factor there. I think that's a really good one. I'm going to rate that a 10 out of 10. That's perfect.
Oh, dude,
I'll give you
okay.
my comp, and if we're going with like relatively recent A&M era, which is kind of my expertise, because I'm a newer Aggie, you would say. I think I'm looking, and this is probably not just like a one-to-one. This is kind of like I'm visualizing. Remember Tyree Johnson, 2020, third down guy, like get after the quarterback, really good in his role, but he was really kind of reserved for that role. Upperclassman, just had the bend, just a true edge rusher, and he was just very much leaning into that role. I'm looking at Ryan Henderson out of San Diego State to play that same role this year. I'm looking at him to be that third down guy. And we don't know what we're going to get. It's a big jump, right? The San Diego State to A&M, and that worked for Cassius, obviously. But I'm looking at if we're going to go with that same era, I'm going to go Tyree Johnson, Ryan Henderson potentially. Maybe not with the look, maybe not with the mean mug, maybe not the intimidation factor and all that. You got a one-to-one right there. But I think in role and just kind of attributes on the field, I could see that one.
Yeah. And so I bring that up too because to your question, I feel like Saka and either the combination of Searcy and Jones, and you said earlier that we're probably I don't know, you're suspecting, predicting there's going to be a bit of an uptick maybe in the sack category and or maybe just TFLs from these guys having, getting to work with a tandem. And I think about Mesidor and Bain last year and how huge that was for them to have somebody else to lean on and the offensive line to have to deal with. But I think it was a prominent Aggie kind of alluded to this today. It was Robert Behrens on X, and he didn't come out and fully say it, but and I'll use the pun here. But do you think that Marco Jones has any flash to him? If you picking up what I'm putting down,
That I like that we do that in pun lingo because I don't know if we can come out and say that just yet. I don't know if we can say the full thing just yet. So I love going pun with that one. That's a big comparison. And you know what? Not the first time I've heard it. Not the first time I've heard someone say it. Man, that's a big, big, big words for a young man who's just kind of dipped his toes in college. But if you get that tandem and they live up to even just kind of get close to those comps on both sides of that line of scrimmage. And then you got TJ Searcy, who another year here, he could be more comfortable in that rotation, but those two at the top. And I think we're finding out that, I think Saka said this today, that as opposed to spring where he played mostly defensive end, he's playing Jack and DN now. So some versatility, so you can get them all out there at the same time. I think Flash is probably a little more physically gifted, right? A little more physically gifted. But Marco Jones, man, he's right there. He has it all in front of him. It's all right there for the taking. And like you said, with that tandem, you can move him around. You can keep those tackles off guard. You can keep these guys fresh by rotating them. I mean, it could be something special. And it just keeps going back to that pass D I'm talking about, man. Like you combine that with what we just talked about with that secondary back there, a little bit more confidence, as you said. Get the blitz going, show even more. I mean, come on.
I do like maybe a little bit lesser splash comp, like I think a Deshaun Hall or something like that.
That's good. I think he could land somewhere between there. I think that's a good landing spot for what is this, his sophomore year. between a day and between a flash, like that would be a nice place for him to be right now. That would be perfect.
And then I'm hoping like Hicks is like some sort of cross man child between like a Bobby Brown and a Leal. Like, oh, I know, and that just makes you kind of slobber thinking about
it. Does, man. It does. Like a nice fajita on the grill. I get a little drooly on that one. If you give me that tandem right there, like all the names we're throwing out, and we get close to those comps, I could see some Leal there. I think Leal, I don't know off the top of my head, maybe just in my memory was a little bit longer, but Bobby Brown, you kind of hybrid the two. I think I definitely see where you're going with that. I was actually wondering this. I want to get your take on this because I always forget how I feel about things. Last year, going into the D line, like just projecting it for the year, I know we were like very confident in Regis, and it's like, okay, I think we feel good about Onyedem coming in from Iowa State, had a pretty productive career there, maybe a little bit different role here than what he did there. And Hicks off the bench, who we're just talking about. How does that compare with how we feel about the defensive line now? Because I'm like, a couple weeks ago, I'm like, oh, the D tackles, kind of a question mark, right? Like a lot of unknown there. But were we in that different of a spot last year? I think maybe we just kind of had a higher floor with Regis, I think. But is the ceiling higher now with Hicks, with Bobby Brown, DeMarvin Leal hybrid potential?
I think so. If you told me we could get 90% of Regis back and another Onyedem
through the additions or young guys.
Yeah. If you kind of told me that, I feel really good about that. Just I think our two deep is much better this year than it was last year.
I agree.
We're in the best place that we've ever been. I don't know that the top end is there as much in the middle.
In the middle, no, but yeah.
Yes, I mean on the edges, and the reason why I bring in the middle is just because like thinking about the tandem from last year and what we have this year between the potentiality of Marco Jones and Saka on the other side, and just the chaos that the offensive line for the other team is going to have to deal with to block both of those guys. And then some of the breakdowns that we had, versus Texas. And if we don't have that middle shored up, then in a lot of ways, I fear that it's going to nullify that pass rush and the ability to make those plays there. But we may not have. I mean, I think the top end on the edge is higher than it was last year, and I think that's saying a lot. Actually, that's a pretty bold take. Maybe
I think you're right because it was. I mean, I think Deion Hayes did some good stuff, but I just think the upside for both at any given time is higher now because you have two. And then I think TJ, I keep mentioning TJ Searcy. I think he was really solid last year. I think he was like the way I think about Regis on the interior, not like a big play guy, but kind of like just a steady guy, like a two gapper, like just disciplined and sturdy. I felt that way about Searcy on the defensive end position. And if he can leap even from that or take a step forward even from that, like can he be like a plus player next year instead of just a steady player? So I look at this as two like probably like much more sure things in Marco and Saka to be like upper echelon players, and Searcy has a chance to do that. But it comes down to three guys you're really happy to see out there, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I mean, the deficiencies on the interior can wash away some of the benefits you get there. Even if it feels really good when you get to third downs, you might not get to third downs as often, right? You might not get to passing downs as often. You might not get to 3rd and 6+ as often. You might not win first downs as often. Regis was really, really solid. Can Mims be solid? Can McCullum be solid? Can Landon Rink come in and be solid? Can a surprise young guy like a Chase Sims or a DJ Sanders be solid? I don't know. Regis was just really, really steady for this team. But you got a lot of shots in the chamber. You're going to have a lot of chances by way of just the amount of bodies you were just mentioning out there to find that guy, or at least, approach it with more of a group mentality and knowing you got studs on the outside. We're so much deeper than last year on defensive line. Last year, it was like a 3-man rotation inside, occasionally Dalen Evans, occasionally Landon Rink. those guys had like 150 and 75 snaps on the season respectively. It was like a massive gap between them and Hicks. You're going to see a much more even spread this year, and you want to be rotating there. Like the best teams, the biggest programs rotate waves on the defensive lines, and A&M will once again be able to do that. So maybe that makes up for some of it. Maybe I'm talking myself into it. I don't know.
I think it's warranted. I don't think that's, drinking too much Kool-Aid to talk yourself into it right there, honestly. I like the size that a lot of those guys bring in the middle, especially from the backup standpoint. I think if we get the Hicks that we think that we can get, not that he was bad last year, but I think everybody sees a lot that he can do.
Mm-hmm.
And, whoever, really ends up solidifying that Regis' spot, if they can plug a hole, just jam things up in the middle, then I think we get it. Also think that Searcy, the combination of Searcy, Marco Jones, and Saka are going to be a step up in the run game from what we had last year. And it's fun to talk about the sacks, right? I mean, it was the 3 sacks versus Utah State. I mean, crazy. But the run game, the TFLs, and all the drive stoppers that those actually end up being. Yes, sacks are huge, but the ability just to like knock that second down run, maybe 2nd and 8, 2nd and 7, and maybe TFL it, and now it's 3rd and 9. I mean, I think those could be really huge from that, or even just for no gain. I definitely see a step up from this D line, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I think Howell definitely took steps in defending the run last year, but I don't think was ever his strength at A&M. Obviously, that wasn't his thing. He was a guy that was good enough to play down to down, obviously, but a guy that you really leaned on for those pass rush situations. The rigidity of Anto Saka as a guy that plays the jack position, the rigidity of a guy like Marco Jones who will play the jack position, that's huge. That's huge for the run game because, like you said, it's easy to get enamored with the sacks when you're talking about defensive ends and edges, but setting the edge was a problem at times last year. I don't know if it was necessarily a strength for the team last year, especially running against the weak side, the left side. And I think there's a chance you're going to hold your ground a little bit better there this year. So I think we're just sitting here talking ourselves in this D-line, which is something I've been doing over the last couple of weeks specifically, actually. I've talked myself into that. I've talked myself more into Reed. I've kind of not talked myself into the running game if we're going to throw a dose of reality into there. I have not fully talked myself into that. But D-line,
trying to do that for you in a minute, though.
All right, we should. But D-line, I've talked myself into quite a bit.
Yeah, and I don't blame you there. How much of, I wouldn't call it a step back, but let's just say wear and tear as the season went on happened to Howell with us not having that complement on the other side as much, and not having quite as much depth to rotate in there. And, you see some things happen where we end up with no sacks against, or he didn't have any sacks against Texas or Miami. And those are, I mean, of course, Texas and Miami are not stupid. I mean, they're really good teams. And for them not to game plan against Howell would be ridiculous. And for there not to be somebody that can, say, step in there and kind of hold the level as well as I think we'll be able to this year. With that idea alone, I think we have every reason to talk ourselves into a defensive line this year.
It's just such a good point. Yeah, it's like you dedicate your chip to that side, dedicate the running back to that side, you double team. He is the game plan. And you saw that against Texas, you saw that against Miami, and these good O lines and these extra schemed up games like a playoff game or a big rivalry game that, Elko admitted gets a little bit of extra attention in the offseason. They're going to figure it out, especially by the time all that game is on tape. So, yeah, it's going to be dynamic, man. You're not going to be able to sell out. We don't think as of right now you'll be able to sell out on anything right there. And that's not even mentioning what he's going to do, painting the picture he does for the offensive line to try to navigate. So, a lot to be excited about there.
Okay. Let's get to the real business of this. We're almost hitting 2 hours here, so we need to probably wrap it up. I know. Appreciate your time.
Oh, no worries. It's been a good time.
Yeah. Have you been to Top of the Hill?
I haven't heard of Top of the Hill.
Okay. top of the hill, greasy burger. I
Ooh.
have somebody on X put me up to it. It's
Okay.
right outside of College Station.
What is it called again? I'm gonna write down.
Top of the hill.
Top of the hill.
Let me make sure I'm giving it to you right.
Do you have a review for me?
Uh, yeah, I do. If you want me to pull that up, you have to give me a second. But
Wait, you actually have like a Yelp review?
so I do it on Google Maps.
You were taken aback. You went for a Google Map review by this burger, prompted you to pull your phone out and give a full on. I love it. I got to go here now.
So yeah, I did it a while back. I'm sure. I'm not. I'm not.
I was
I'm
being
not,
facetious. We got a full on review. I love it. This must be real deal.
while we keep talking, I'll see if I can locate it and read it to you.
I need to get more College Station spots these days because I've been going to the same spot, which I will tell you privately, but not on camera because it is getting busier where I like to go, and I don't want to give it too much publicity. I want it to be my spot. I need to get some diversity in my College Station restaurant game. I would eat a lot of Taz Indian cuisine back in the day. Taz had a all you could eat buffet at lunch. And whenever like my day ended early and I could go eat like 3 or 4 o'clock and kind of just be done, go to the gym, go home, I'm done because I would just eat so much I have to end the day. Go study.
Fitz Willie's around when you were in college?
Was what?
Fitz Willie's?
I don't think so.
Right next to Dudley's Draw.
Doesn't sound familiar. It doesn't sound familiar.
It kind of closed down, I think, a little while thereafter. I worked at Freebirds.
Okay.
Right there on University. And so we would trade food with them sometimes. And
Nice.
they had a really good BLT. And we would put some of the Freebirds barbecue sauce on that.
Oh, you would mix and match. I love it.
Oh, okay. Here, let me read this to you. This is for Top of the Hill real quick. This is the Von Miller of burgers. It will stuff you like your 2010 OU at Kyle Field and have you asking for more. The only burgers I've had that compare is this place in New Braunfels called Muck and Fuss, and then there's a place in Fort Worth called Lily's Bistro. But that's my AggieCentral review.
That is the most red-ass College Station review, and I love that you had that thing ready to go as I facetiously asked you for a review on this place. All right, Top of the Hill is on the list. Give me the order recommendation.
So I've only gotten to go once so far, and I would put it out of 10 for me as like an 8.2.
Nice.
This place in New Braunfels called Muck and Fuss is probably a 9.1 for me. But I don't think you can go wrong with any burger. I mean, it's fresh buns, kind of a bit of a sweet brioche bun. But it also has a home style feel to it.
Nice.
Which is kind of important to me, and it just cooked perfectly.
Nice.
Fries are excellent, and I'm a total combination kind of guy. You can't give me a burger and crappy fries.
Dude.
Expect it to be good.
100%.
So.
Also, do you eat burger then fries or do it all together? Because my wife does them separately, and it bothers me. I got to get the combination effect.
I definitely go hard on the fries first.
Really?
Then I hit the hamburger and come back for more fries.
Whoa. Okay. See,
Now,
I'm like, my bite has to get like ketchup, fry, burger, and that burger, I got to get a jalapeno and a piece of bacon on the bite. I'm a mixer. I got to mix and match.
I like that though. I'm a big mixer as well. So.
But you worked at Freebirds, right?
Yeah.
That's what you were saying. So I'm such a lazy person. I would eat Freebirds, Taco Cabana, and Chick-fil-A like on repeat all the time, like whenever I wasn't eating at home. It was always those 3 places just like on rotation because I'm like a college kid that just wants the food I know. I would go, and I was like really big into the gym in college. Like I was going religiously and I had to hit my protein. So I would go to Freebirds at that time probably 3 to 5 times a week.
Wow.
But we had 3 Freebirds in College Station. And they started to get to know me at the one, so much so to where I ordered my burrito, a monster burrito with double chicken, easy on the rice and beans, side of queso. And after like the 3rd time in the week getting the same order, the lady tells me, you know, that's a lot of calories, right? And I'm just like, well, you better make it 2. And I told her that. She cracked up. I was joking. I didn't actually order 2. But from that point forward, I started rotating my free birds. I would go to a different one every time. It was like University, further down University, almost to the highway. And then what was it? Texas. I don't remember the other one was by the Target. Yeah, there were 3. So I would rotate my free birds consistently.
Yeah, it was such a good time. I could make pretty much whatever I wanted when my roommates came in. They'd
That's
come
cool.
in, get a monster. I rang them up for a half bird.
Nice. That's dude, I wish I had you back then. Yeah, man. Yeah. I went so much to where I had like an unofficial retirement from Freebirds. I can't go anymore. I've free birded myself out. We don't play free bird at this bar anymore. So I had to stop. I'm on Cabo Bob's now. I know it's Austin based. It might be UT owned, but I got a Cabo Bob's by where I live now, and that is my burrito of choice. Have you had Cabo Bob's?
No, never even heard of it. It's Austin?
Okay. Austin, and there's one in San Antonio. There should be like 3 in San Antonio, but it is over. It's just, it gets so crowded. It gets so packed, and it's near where I work. So I get to go often. I try to go once a week. I don't always get to because it gets too packed, but I love Freebirds. Nothing against Freebirds, but the freshest, most authentic tasting meats, the tortillas are dough and they actually press them right there in front of you. Then they make your burrito, and just like the meat, tortilla combination. And I'm weird. I get no rice and beans. So it's basically, my burrito is basically a giant fajita taco. And you know, I'm a fajita guy. So it works out so well for me. A little bit of guac in there, occasional queso when I'm being bad, when I'm eating all those calories, like she lovingly told me. Cabo Bob's, you got to go there. Man, I want to give you a San Antonio rec, but I don't want to put it on the internet. Okay.
You can just send it on X if you need to.
I'll give you one because it's already overrun anyway. It's not going to make a difference. If you ever find your way in San Antonio and you want like the San Antonio vibe with a little bit better food than a Mi Tierra, Maria Bonita. It's kind of like nearish the airport, kind of between the airport and UTSA area of town, kind of on the interior loop. But the atmosphere, like if I bring people in from out of town, like we go there. Like you want Mexican food, we're going to take you here. Like the food, I wouldn't call the food necessarily tippity top tier. Get the ribeye street tacos. That is the best thing on their menu. They're good every time. They're consistent. And they have the, I don't know. I'm a frozen margarita guy. I don't care. It's what I like. It's what I go for. They have it where they actually freeze the mango marg. Like it's not like they're adding the mango puree. I think they also add mango puree to it, but they have it constantly rotating on all the flavors. So it's just like, it's immaculate in there. The vibes are good. Food's good. Maria Bonita. Not sponsored.
Not a sponsor yet.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah.
Not yet. I'm just kidding.
That's a good one. Okay. Next time I'm down there, I'm checking that out. I feel like it won't be long. I'll probably be down there around the Christmas time. So
nice.
Oh, okay, dude. Well, last question. Which game do you plan to get to?
Okay, so I have tickets in hand for game 1. I'll say it. I splurged on these tickets. When I'm only going to a couple games this year, I'm fully committing to the watch parties for the away games. So all 5 away games, I'll be on the channel at home. And for most of the home games, I'll be here so I can do a little bit more of the video stuff. But I'm going to game 1. I was shopping tickets the other day. I was like ready. It's like that time of year. I'm going to buy them. I'm feeling it. It like feels good to buy them. And I look lower bowl first, just for curiosity, just to see what the prices are like. Look upper bowl. And I look down, lower bowl, SeatGeek, not an ad. There's the little fire emoji next to the like as an icon. I click it, and I'm not gonna say the price, but the price was half of the entire section for this one seat, front row, corner, lower bowl. So this will be the closest I've ever sat in Kyle Field in my entire life, more than I ever was as a student. I know it's Missouri State, but it's the seat backs, it's row 1, it's game 1. And I mean, obviously I love an intense like primetime matchup in Kyle Field. I'm also extremely partial to week 1, where it's a matchup like Missouri State. I mean, wish them the best, but A&M should take care of business. And we're sitting there in the 4th quarter, seat back chair. Usually I'm in the upper decks for this. I'll be in row 1 for this one. And you sit back and just like, took care of business. We're healthy. Got a whole season ahead of us, and we're undefeated. And that's the feeling I'm craving and chasing right now. So we splurged for game 1. I won't be at Arizona State. I'm going to just indulge in the entire slate of football that weekend because I think there's just a lot of good stuff. There's OU, Michigan, there's Texas, Ohio State. I want to be here for that. The other one I have on my radar is the blackout Tennessee in November, and obviously the Texas game. I'm going to look into it. I don't know what I'll do there yet. I'll probably end up going to both of those. But November's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be crazy. I love having the blackout in November, and I know Tennessee is not one of the marquee like power-rated teams on the year, but that's going to be crunch time of the year. And I have a feeling that I think
South Carolina does, but
do what now? Say that again.
I was wondering. I said they kick off November, which is a big month for us, right? But I think South Carolina actually kicks off November.
It's bye week, then South Carolina. So it's South Carolina. Hopefully, we're out of Cocktober, and it is November for South Carolina. But you're probably right. But just knowing where we are in that part of the season, we're not doing schedule stuff, and we can get back into talk it easily if we let ourselves. Got to be careful. But LSU and Bama are such big games because they're going to set up this November, and everything else is obviously. But those are the marquee ones. And if you're alive, and I think you will be at this portion of the year, at least somewhat, at least you'll have something to play for. Every game in November is going to be a movie, and I can't wait. It's daunting. It's challenging. In some ways, I do envy Penn State with that cupcake schedule they drew this year. But, man, I love a regular season game, man. I know we want to win it all. I know we want the easiest path, but nothing better than like a big regular season night win at Kyle Field, man. Give me that. I think that's a feeling I want to chase.
Yeah, 100%.
How about you?
Yeah, I'll definitely be there for the first game. I'm planning to go to Arizona State at the moment. My buddy, who I've got tickets with, can't make it to that game, so I'm kind of up in the air. We have 4 tickets, so I'll always list 2, and then we go to the other 2 unless we've got maybe a few guests or something in town. That way we can take our wife.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'm probably gonna take my wife that weekend, maybe a friend or something. But I haven't got her to a game recently, so I think that'd be a good one. But it's at 11 o'clock.
It'd be hot.
Yeah, so I'm not sure that might be the best one for her, but I don't know about Kentucky just yet. I know I won't be at the Texas game. I'm going to be traveling to Virginia where my brother lives for Thanksgiving, so I'm going to miss that one. I'd love to go to Norman, but I can't make that happen either since it's the weekend before. But like you, I need to get to some SEC venues and experience the whole thing.
I hadn't done it much. I did it once in college to Tuscaloosa, and that was the 2016 year where we had a really good 2/3 of a year. Then it kind of fell apart with Trevor Knight. And everything was alive right then. That was such a fun trip. Game didn't go well. But then I hadn't gone to a road game that wasn't Jerry World. That's not even a road game since then. So ended up doing it to Arkansas and LSU last year. I have family in Arkansas, so free living out there, free hotel, if you will. And then LSU. I recommend it. Like, you got to do it. Most of these places you got to go at least once.
I'm going to tailgate for Arkansas, so I won't be at that one. And I did a giveaway last year, and somebody, I was like, hey, anybody guess the attendance for this game? I forget which game it was.
You did it on X, right?
Yeah.
I remember seeing it, yeah.
Somebody was real close. I can't remember how close he was. I'm actually going to tweet it out here pretty soon for transparency purposes and say, hey, look, man, this guy, we agreed on this, did it, paid in full kind of thing. But he wanted tickets to the Arkansas game, so I gave him 2 of them, and the other 2 are listed, and my buddy we sell those, and he gets all the proceeds for that, and I gave mine away. But that was really fun. I just think it wasn't, I didn't put any stipulations on it. It was, you didn't have to be a follower, nothing like that. Just wanted to be a give backer on that one. And I think him and his wife are going to come to town. They're going to have a good time. I really would like to see that game, but we're actually going to be smoking a pig.
Nice.
That day over by Reed Arena.
That's awesome. Oh, what a day, man. You're going to have a great time. Even though you're not stepping in, you're just going to be right there. That's going to be great. Smoking a pig. Perfect.
So that's it, man. That's where we'll be, and hope for a great season. Can't wait to hear your predictions coming up. Hopefully, you can do that in a couple weeks.
The prediction will probably come out the week before the season, and then when we'll kind of file into in-season cadence in week 1. So, man, like I said with the D-line, it's easy to talk yourself into a Mike Elko team after kind of what we know about him and what he's been doing so far. Holdups are the running game and the offensive line, so we'll see where I go with it. I'm right around where you are, 9. I'm trying to talk myself into 10. I don't know if I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I feel you on that. So I'm going to mull it around before I do one and commit to something. But
I know. That's where I'm at. I need to have some more internal debates before we get there.
For sure. Well, man, I really appreciate you coming on. That was about as much fun as I've ever had talking football.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, I'll cut it right there and edit this part out. But that way you don't have to just like exit out and go or whatever. But
yeah,
just appreciate you, dude.
That was great. That was a lot of fun. I feel like kind of doing that for both of us is going to kind of just help us like flex the like kind of our takes and the way we're feeling about the team. I just feel like throwing the ideas back and forth right there. Yeah. I think that really helped at least me feel like I have a better understanding of everything, because getting someone as knowledgeable as you and being able to talk about it, like we're both just so kind of in the weeds with this team. That was really, really fun.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So, well, we end up having to be in College Station at the same time or whatever. We'll have to hit up one of these joints.
Absolutely.
And like you said, kind of fill out the food scene there has grown so much since I was there. When did you graduate?
I graduated at 19.
Okay.
But I'm older than that. I had a hiccup when I transferred from Houston Christian to A&M. I took a couple of years off, then we went in and finished. I'm the age of a 17, but I graduated 19.
Okay.
Yeah. But you're going to be there game 1. Maybe we can link up game 1.
Maybe so. Yeah. If we can do it, let's do it.
All right, man. Well, You got me on X. Maybe we can exchange numbers out there and we'll see what we can do.
Sounds good, dude.
We can do this again anytime, man. This was fun. Maybe we can check in another time this season.
Absolutely.